Hello, my name is Aiddenn Vanatta. Okay, I'll be inserting and removing and getting a urine sample from an indwelling catheter. First thing I'll do is I'll check my doctor's orders, make sure that everything I need is on there. I'll then arrange for assistance needed. I'll gather my supplies, come over here, get a table that is waist height, make sure that my kit is dry, intact, and not expired. And then same thing for my gloves, dry, intact, and not expired. Then I will perform hand hygiene, provide privacy for my patient, and then I will introduce myself, and then I will gain 2 patient identifiers, check for any allergies, and then give them a brief description of the procedure. I'll be putting a catheter in you. It'll go up into your bladder, and then it will remove any pain or discomfort you're feeling from the buildup of urine. I will then raise my bed to about a working height. I will then go ahead and lower my side rails, perform hand hygiene, apply non-sterile gloves, and then go ahead and advise the patient I will be exposing them now. Okay. Go to place it down, put them in a dorsal recumbent position. Okay. I'll then do cranial care, take off my gloves, hand hygiene, and then start my procedure. I'll come over here to my kit, and then I will go ahead and put it in. I'm going to turn this bag into a little trash can at the edge of the bed for me. Okay. Started this. Now I'll start the flap going away from me. I'll go over, making sure not to cross over my sterile field. Same thing with this one. And this one. Now with this one, I'm going to turn it. Okay. Take my sterile drape, being aware of my 1-inch borders. Go ahead and open it on up. Okay. Shiny side down. I'll then place it on my patient, making sure not to cross over my sterile field. I will then come over here, apply my sterile gloves. Okay. Okay. I'll then discard these gloves because I will not be using them, along with this drape. Set it on the edge. You can wear my 1-inch border still. I'll then set this one right here as well. Take my lid. Make sure my lid is loose. I'll then apply my betadine. Put it in there. Same thing with my lid. Put it the corner and discard. Then take my sheath off of my in there. Take my normal sleeve and put that on the plug. Okay, and so we'll set my lid back on top and transfer it to my second sterile field. Okay, this hand is now not sterile. I'll be using it. I'll grab one cotton ball, work on the area farthest away from me first, making sure not to cross over my sterile field. Then the area closest to me, still making sure not to cross over my sterile field. And then right down the middle. I'll just go this. I'll then take my catheter. Usually you'd grab about 3 to 4 inches down, but for the sake of this procedure, it'll be about 1 to 2. I'll then dip it in the lube. I'll advise my patient to take a deep breath. And you'll go until you see urine or 3 to 4 inches. And then about 1 to 2 inches after that. I'll then grab it here to make sure it doesn't come out. Slowly inflate the balloon. Making sure that none comes back in there. Give it a tug, make sure that's in there. I'll then take off my sterile gloves. Perform hand hygiene. Now I'll come back in here, take out my kit. Okay. And then I will discard of this. Okay. Then take this, put it down on a stable part of the bed below the bladder. I will then put any loops or anything out right here, but I am going to tape it first to make sure that we still got slack on it. About right there should be good. Okay. Go ahead and make sure that there are no kinks or loops below the bed. We'll then hook this to the bed. Okay, some tape, I'll go ahead and lower them. I'll discard my supplies. I would do hand hygiene, apply non-sterile gloves again, and then discard my supplies. Go ahead and set them aside so they don't get away. Okay. And then right now, so I don't forget, I would go ahead and document. Actually, I want a little bit more slack in this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and document the procedure, which was sterile insertion of a catheter. The type of catheter was a 14 French. The amount of solution I went ahead and put in, which was 10 milliliters of sterile saline. And then I secured it to the right leg with tape, and then the type of dependent drainage bag I used, and then the coca of the urine. And then how the patient tolerated it, and the patient education provided. And then to get my initial specimen, go ahead and take my container. I would come down here and get at least 3 to 5 milliliters of urine. And then I would go ahead and make sure that I don't touch any of the bag to the inside or outside of this specimen container. And then using the little yellow tag in here, I would document the name, date, time, and type of solution. And then I would send that off to the lab. And then for my subsequent specimen, I would go ahead and get my supplies, which I would cover them with a bath blanket. I would get my luer lock syringe and my alcohol swab. And then I will go ahead and unclamp it from right here. And I would clamp it about 3 to 4 inches right here. All right, and I would leave that for about 30 minutes, and then I would perform hand hygiene, or take off my gloves, perform hand hygiene, and then when I'm ready to go back, I would also put on sterile gloves and hand hygiene. And I will clean the port with alcohol. I will connect the luer lock to the port. Okay, I would withdraw 3 to 5 mLs of urine. Okay, I would go ahead and take my specimen container, and I would not do that in a real procedure. And I would go ahead and pour this in there, making sure not to touch the edge of the container. And I would discard of that. And I would put the lid back on, and then document the name, date, time, and type of specimen collected, and send that off to the lab as well. I would not forget to unclamp it. Make sure to get rid of any of those kinks, and clamp it back to the bed. Make sure that any loops are above the bed. Okay, and then I would also discard my alcohol swab, and then I would cover my patient back up with everything. I would lower the bed, raise the side rails, place their call light, and make sure they don't need anything before I go. And then whenever we're ready to remove it, I will perform hand hygiene, don non-sterile gloves, come in here, check my doctor's orders, make sure that everything I need is on there, arrange for any assistance I would possibly need. I would gather my supplies, which will be syringe, a little towel, and then you would have a waterproof pad underneath, but for the sake of this, we're just going to use the little drape. And you would set this underneath. And then you would also do your normal, introduce yourself to your client, check for any allergies, explain the procedure. I'll be removing your catheter, and then you also make sure no allergies and everything like that. Raise the bed back up to working height, lower your side rail, and then you would come over here to your port. And I would also untape it from the thigh at this point. Okay, and I would make sure to withdraw exactly what I put in. Waiting gravity assist me. Making sure not to let it go back in. Make sure I got 10, which I did. I will then discard of this. Use my towel. Wrap it up. Okay. I'll then check intactness. Make sure it's all good. And then for this, I would have made sure that my bag was empty before I did this procedure. It's very important. And then I would have taken all this, would have put it up in the thing, taken all this out, discarded of all this. I would perform hand hygiene, cover the patient back up, and then I would lower the side rails and everything like that, and I would then document the patient tolerance, patient education, the COCA, and the intactness of the catheter. And go ahead and get rid of the rest of my supplies. And then perform pericare before we cover them back up. Clean towel. Okay. And then cover them back up. Do this. Okay. I would lower the bed. I would raise the side rail, take off my non-sterile gloves, perform hand hygiene, give my patient a call light, make sure they don't need anything else, and then I'm done.